Of the Green Bay Packers. I was so clueless. I did not know that there was a draft. I didn't know that they were holding a draft. My brother-in-law called me, woke me up, said, "Hello, Green Bay Packer." I hung up on him. He called me back and said, "You better get a newspaper. The Green Bay Packers have drafted you." I'd never gotten a letter from the Packers. Lombardi had turned to his personnel man. They had 20 rounds in those days. They only have 7 now because they don't know the names of the 7. Lombardi had turned to Pat Pepper, his personnel man, who loved to tell this story publicly. He said, "Pepper, it's 2 in the morning. I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed. We've drafted 19 players. Do something humorous with the 20th selection." So they did. And I showed up in 1965, the Green Bay Packers, and I had several challenges. I've already mentioned a couple of them: size, speed, experience, all that. Vince Lombardi was not Bobby Dodd. And I had never been in a huddle with an African-American person. Vince Lombardi had a lot of great attributes, but he doesn't get credit for his best one. Vince Lombardi's greatest attribute is that he would not tolerate racism. When he got to the Green Bay Packers, they had 1 African-American player. By the time I got there 6 years later, on a 40-man roster, there were 10 African-American players, and he didn't care. There might have been 40, and it wouldn't have mattered a bit to him because he only looked at one thing: can you play football? He didn't care about the color of your skin. So I show up there, we have, and the football people in this audience are going to understand the quality of players we had. Willie Wood, Herb Adderley, Willie Davis is, I'm getting to Willie Davis here, Lionel Aldridge, Elijah Pitts, Bob Jeter. It was unbelievable, the talent. And other teams in the NFL, many of the teams had racial quotas that had 1 or 2 African-American players or none, and they bragged about it. And we destroyed them every Sunday. And I used to wonder, are they going to figure this out or what? But my problem was that I figured that those guys, and I'm serious now, would hear my southern accent. I would probably say something stupid and racist, and I did. Didn't mean to, didn't understand what I was doing, and that they would injure me and send me home. And I was terrified of one thing, and that's calling my girl and say, "They're going to send me home, I'm not good enough." So in that state of mind, I'm trying to deal with all these facts. Oh, and we had a middle linebacker named Ray Nitschke, whom I was supposed to block, and that was hilarious. He broke my nose and my face mask and knocked me out. That was the first day. And I had to decide, am I going to keep trying to do this? So I was discouraged. Oh, and another thing, we're in Wisconsin, and it's August, and it's 43 degrees. That ain't right. So I'm walking out, and the most intimidating of all was Grambling State University's Willie Davis. Future Hall of Famer, already an All-Pro, working on his master's degree in business at the University of Chicago, while being the captain of the greatest team in the history of professional sport. Packers were already being called the greatest team in history, and they were yet to win those 3 in a row. They won 5 world titles in 7 years. That will never be done again, ever. So I'm walking out of the dorm, really discouraged, freezing cold, pitch black, and a voice comes out of the darkness from behind me, "Bill." I thought it was God. I just sat down in the grass. It was Willie Davis. And I thought, uh-oh, he's going to tell me to get lost. He said, "I need to talk to you for a minute." I said, "Okay." He said, "I've been watching you. I like your effort. You got a chance to make our team, and I'm going to help you." I said, "You're going to help me?" He said, "Yeah. When Lombardi is spewing profanity in your face and spitting in your eye, and Nitschke's tearing your head off, you come find me, and I'll get you through it. I'll get you through it." You know what we call him? We call him Dr. Feelgood. Sure enough, when I get beat up, I'd run find Willie D, and I'd say, "How you feel, old man?" He says, "Feel good, man. Feel good. You can do it." So what did the great man do for the terrified white kid, the clueless white kid? He didn't just help me to play in a bunch of Super Bowls. He changed my life. He gave me a mission in life. Every team I ever coached, in fact, the first speaker we had for our first Georgia State team was Willie Davis, right over here on the campus, because I couldn't believe how lucky I was to be able to get him to come and do that. So there are many more great stories I could tell you, but if there had not been an Eddie Robinson, had there not been a Grambling State University, had there not been the great tradition of HBCU, did I get that right? Yeah, well, I was an offensive lineman. Had there not been you, then there would have been no football career for Bill Curry. God bless you. I'm forever indebted to all of you, and I'm grateful that I got a chance to share that.
Thanks so much, Coach.